From the moment he stepped into the store, Nathaniel felt something was wrong. The morning sun poured through the large glass windows of the clothing outlet in downtown Chicago, casting pale streaks of light across the floor. Yet the air felt strangely heavy. He wasn't dressed like a CEO that day, just a plain green jacket, jeans, and running shoes. It was his unannounced inspection day, the kind where he walked in as an ordinary customer to see the real heartbeat of his business. But as he approached the counter, he noticed the cashier, her eyes red, her voice strained, her hands trembling as she tried to steady herself in front of the register. Her name tag read, Hannah. She looked barely 24, blonde hair tied neatly, but her posture carried the weight of a woman twice her age. And in that moment, as she wiped the corner of her eye, hoping no one saw, Nathaniel realized something was deeply wrong, something that went far beyond customer service. If you believe kindness still exists in this world, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. Your support helps more heart-touching stories reach people who need hope. Nathaniel walked slowly toward the counter, pretending to browse the shirts and jackets on display. He didn't want to startle her. He wanted to watch, understand, and see what was really happening behind the fragile smile she was forcing. The store was quiet for a weekday morning, only a couple of customers wandering through the aisles. But every time someone approached the counter, Hannah straightened up, swallowed her emotions, and forced herself to respond. He could tell she was in pain, deep, emotional pain, the kind that slips out no matter how tightly you try to hold it in. Nathaniel had built 32 stores across the United States, and he prided himself on treating employees like family. He believed in fairness, in compassion, in giving chances to those who needed them. But standing there, pretending to look at a shirt he didn't care about, he felt ashamed that one of his own workers looked so broken on the clock. He wondered how long she had been suffering like this. How many managers had walked past her without noticing, or worse, without caring. When he finally approached the counter, Hannah tried to greet him with the standard store line, but her voice cracked midway. She apologized quickly, blinking as though fighting back tears. Her hands hovered over the keyboard, shaking slightly as she asked if he found everything okay. Nathaniel responded gently, but inside, he felt a knot of anger rising. Not at her, but at the circumstances that had driven her to this point. She looked like someone desperate to hold on, someone afraid to fall apart. As she scanned the shirt he didn't even plan to buy, her breath hitched again. She quietly apologized a second time. Nathaniel noticed how thin she looked, how tired, how drained. This wasn't normal stress. This was someone drowning while trying to keep her head above water. And the worst part was the clear, raw pain she was trying to hide, as if emotions were some kind of violation she would be punished for. Nathaniel stepped aside for a moment, pretending to check his phone while watching her interact with the next customer. A middle-aged woman approached the counter, impatient and rude from the moment she arrived. She complained about a price tag, blamed Hannah for the sale not applying the way she expected, and raised her voice unnecessarily. Hannah apologized softly, tried to help, but every sentence she spoke seemed to hit her like a blow. When the woman left, muttering under her breath, Hannah lowered her head for just a moment, and Nathaniel saw a tear fall onto the counter. Something inside him shifted. This wasn't just sadness. This was deeper. It was fear, shame, exhaustion. Nathaniel quietly asked a nearby employee where the store manager was. The young man pointed upstairs. Nathaniel nodded and headed up the stairs quietly. He found the manager, a sharp-faced man named Ron, lounging in the small staff lounge with headphones on, scrolling through his phone. At 10 a.m. on shift. Nathaniel didn't reveal who he was. Not yet. He simply asked, as a curious customer, whether the cashier downstairs was okay. Ron rolled his eyes. That girl? She's a mess, always late, always emotional, probably dealing with drama at home. I've written her up twice. Honestly, she's lucky I haven't fired her yet." Nathaniel felt the temperature inside him drop. There was no empathy in Ron's voice, no interest in understanding, no leadership, just cold criticism, a kind that showed he never took time to ask, to check in, to care. Nathaniel thanked him quietly, walked out of the room, and stood at the railing upstairs, looking down at the store. From there, he could see Hannah wiping her eyes again when no customers were near, and he realized the truth he had just discovered wasn't about her. It was about him, his leadership, his responsibility. He had built a company that he believed cared, yet here was a manager who treated people like problems, and here was a young woman suffering silently under his own roof. He couldn't just walk away. Nathaniel went back downstairs and stood near a rack of shirts, watching Hannah again, thinking about what to do. He didn't want to embarrass her or create a scene, but he also couldn't let another hour go by without addressing what he now knew. When her shift momentarily slowed, he stepped toward the counter again. She looked up, weary, but trying to stay professional. Nathaniel gently asked if she was okay. Her eyes widened slightly, as if shocked someone noticed. She nodded quickly, insisting she was fine. But her voice betrayed her. And then, without meaning to, Hannah whispered something that broke him open entirely. "I'm trying. It's just been a really hard week. But I can't lose this job." Nathaniel felt a punch in his chest. She wasn't complaining. She wasn't asking for favors. She was simply holding on for survival. He knew what he had to do. He told her he would be right back. He walked straight upstairs, but this time with purpose. He entered the manager's office without knocking. Ron looked annoyed until he saw the look in Nathaniel's eyes. Without raising his voice, Nathaniel introduced himself, quietly, calmly, but with an authority Ron instantly recognized. "I'm Nathaniel Crosswell, the founder and CEO of this entire company." Ron's face drained of color. Nathaniel didn't shout. He didn't need to. He simply stated what he had seen: neglect, lack of leadership, lack of compassion, unprofessional behavior. And then he ended it with the one sentence that sealed Ron's fate. "You will turn in your keys today. We need leaders here, not people who tear others down." Ron tried to defend himself, but Nathaniel didn't entertain excuses. The decision was final. When Nathaniel walked back downstairs, Hannah saw him coming, but didn't yet know who he was. She straightened up again, doing her best to look composed. He asked quietly if they could speak in the break room for a moment. She hesitated, thinking she was in trouble, but nodded silently and followed him. Inside the small room, Nathaniel finally introduced himself. Hannah froze, eyes widening, breath shaky. She immediately apologized for her tears, saying she didn't want to be a burden, that she was going through some difficult personal issues, caring for her sick mother while working double shifts, struggling to pay rent, but she never wanted her emotions to interfere with her work. Nathaniel listened to every word. His heart felt heavier with each sentence she spoke. She wasn't weak. She was surviving. She wasn't emotional. She was exhausted from trying to do the right thing in a world that kept taking from her. She wasn't a problem. She was the kind of person the company should uplift, not crush. Nathaniel told her the truth, that her manager had been removed, that her job was safe, and that her dedication had not gone unnoticed. He offered her paid time off to take care of her mother, company-covered counseling support, and a raise that would give her breathing room. For the first time in the entire morning, Hannah's tears weren't of sorrow, they were of relief. Across the store, customers continued shopping, unaware that a life had just changed behind the break room door. Sometimes the greatest truths are revealed not in boardrooms, not through reports, but by simply seeing a human being in pain and choosing compassion over convenience. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us bring more stories that inspire hope. And before the story ends, tell us in the comments, do you believe kindness can change someone's life? Hannah's life changed that day, but so did Nathaniel's, because he walked into a store for an inspection and walked out reminded of the power of kindness.